1, 2. Oh, I love this. I'm actually remembering to turn the button on as the day progresses. That's good, isn't it? There we go. Did you enjoy afternoon tea? It whisked past me and I got some grapes, which was a bit sad, but I did go up to one of the teams and I got some chocolate as well, so I'm feeling slightly full. Did you early? Quick? Ivan, hello? Now, you people will never have met this gentleman before. This is his first time up here on the Gold Coast presenting with us, but I met Ivan in Sydney about 4 weeks ago. So this is Ivan Fairholt. He is the MD of Pivotal Metals. First presenter in session 4. So when I introduced him on stage, he was pretty excited because they were about to undergo this really cool drilling project and they were very excited about what they'd discover. So in that 4 weeks, there's been drilling, there's been a little bit of news flow, but there is a lot of news flow yet to come. He is smiling a lot. What that may indicate, you'll have to get that from his discussion that he has with you now. But I know that there's some real potential in this project that they're exploring, and they are in Quebec, and they're looking for copper, so let's make him very welcome.
Thanks a lot, Chrissy. Hi, everyone. Look, Pivotal's a really new story. A lot of you wouldn't have heard of it, and that's actually the biggest opportunity here because it's been flying under the radar because it's the first time in an ASX-listed company, but the great thing is it's already quite a substantial project, and there's a lot of upside to come. And as Chrissy mentioned, we've done some drilling. We've just started putting out the results. And the balance that are going to come out, I think, are really going to show the real potential of this asset and place it in an important but very small peer group of ASX-listed companies with really strong copper exposure. So taking a little bit more look at the investment highlights, we've really got high-quality assets. Our flagship project, Hordern Lake, we've got 28 million tonnes at 1.5% copper equivalent. It's got a lot of exploration upside, which we're really just starting to unpack now. And we also have an earlier stage exploration project called BAGB, which hopefully I'll get a little bit of time to talk to at the end of the project, but very interesting opportunity, which we're looking to explore. Critical minerals leverage. I don't think there's a person at this conference that isn't bullish on copper. It's got such a robust supply story, and the demand side is where it gets really interesting. I've spent a good chunk of my career looking to invest in projects like this, and there's really not a lot of them around, and that's why people are so excited about copper, because replacing the projects that are depleting is not an easy thing to do, and we all know there's a lot of more demand coming. We're in Quebec. I'm going to take you through a little bit more why that's important, but I'll come on to that in a second. And we've got re-rate catalysts ahead. We've got drilling that's been done. We've got results that are coming out, and as shareholders that come in and invest today, you've got a lot of exposure to news flow as we bring this project forward. So Quebec, great jurisdiction, but probably many people that have stood up here today have talked about being in a supportive mining jurisdiction. So I suppose what's important is how does that actually benefit you as a shareholder? What does that actually mean? And in Quebec, we have a little thing called flow-through financing. Now, if you've never heard of flow-through, effectively the company is able to raise capital at a big premium, end up with Australian shareholders that invest at a normal level, and effectively what happens is you get $1 million in your bank account. You raise $1 million and you get $1.8 million in your bank account. So the government in Quebec and in Canada is paying almost half of our exploration cost. So that is and we have access to that as an Australian listed company that's doing all our work in Quebec. So it's a really supportive jurisdiction, tells you a lot about their views on mining as part of the economy and their support for the projects. In addition, Quebec's got fantastic infrastructure. Quebec has some of the lowest power cost in the world. I was talking to a business development guy from a major the other day that was based in Scandinavia. We all know that Scandinavia's got a lot of very green power. They said that Quebec is the only place in the world that they could come and develop and lower their ESG footprint. It's because of that green power, and it happens to be extremely cheap. And just government programs all geared around supporting the mining industry. It's a very established mining province. There's 22 operating mines. It's a great place to be doing business. So Hordern Lake, this is the flagship project. This is the project itself. It's really not much of a lake. Very flat, featureless part of the world. Pretty boring, which is actually what you want in mining. There's no people around, no indigenous issues, and there's a fully maintained 2-lane highway, all-weather highway that just runs 10 kilometres past the project. So it's got good access to infrastructure, and certainly the kind of place that you're looking to develop a project. So just some facts and figures on the project. As I said, 28 million tonnes, 1.5%. That's 412,000 tonnes of contained copper equivalent. So it's quite a sizable project already. It's well defined. It's had quite a lot of drilling. It's 55% indicated, but importantly, it starts at surface. And there's about 60% of that 28 million tonnes that sits in an open pit at 1.4%. So it's got low capex starter potential, and it's not just the capex, it's the risk and all that associated with it. It's really how you want to be starting up a mine. It's difficult enough without adding underground into the mix early on. We've got a lot of upside. I've got a few slides coming up to show you how we're going to look to improve the project, both making it bigger, but also targeting some grade opportunities that have been overlooked or perhaps not understood properly in the past. And we're doing that through the catalysts that we've got pending. We've got drilling that's been done, results pending. We've done downhole geophysics to show how the project can extend. The results are pending on that, and they'll be released along with the drill holes. And then metallurgical test work and a resource update that'll come in the second half. So lots of news flow in front of investors. So this is a picture of the deposit itself. This is the sort of the block model outline, which largely reflects the 28 million tonnes that falls into the resource that's constrained partly in that open pit and then partly in a portion, 40-odd% that sits in the underground portion of the resource that would come later in years in the mine life. The most important thing to notice here is that the project, this is all the drilling in the resource area, and the project itself is completely open at depth. So there's no drilling below the resource that hasn't hit mineralisation. So it's a structurally hosted magmatic sulphide project. It will continue until it doesn't, and we're yet to find a drill hole that says that the deposit doesn't drill. So we've just started to drill down a little bit, focusing in these shallow areas. That's about 220 metres deep. The bottom of the resource is sort of 550. We've not been drilling down here. We've been targeting these shallower areas to add resource tonnes, both with the drill bit and then also using the downhole EM to project below that drilling and to the side of it. Did we just miss it? We've hit it. How far does it continue? And we've got that information about to start to flow out to give people a sense of really how big this can be. I was actually looking at the other day, 30% of the resource sits below sort of that level, and it really just hasn't been explored outside of that area on the flanks of the project. So there's quite a lot of opportunity to add quite substantial exploration growth. This is just in the immediate resource area, but also, and we're looking to share some more information over the next couple of months, on the property scale and potentially the regional scale. We're looking at some business development opportunities to enlarge the footprint of the project as well. So we've released 6 holes of a 34-hole program. So we just started to get some news out around the kind of potential. This is the first drilling that's been done on the project because it was tied up in private ownership for a decade. And so this is the first new information on this project and the first opportunity that investors are really having to get a bit of a sense of what the potential here. You're seeing, starting with the couple of holes that we put out on the down plunge extensions, we're seeing good zones of mineralisation well below the red that you can see there. That's the 28 million tonnes effectively, and you can see that we're extending the mineralisation above cut-off grade right down, and you're going to see that's how you can sort of get tonnage growth potential. And we've got about 10 more holes that test that down plunge extension across the resource body, again coupling that with downhole geophysics. So we're just getting started on showing the depth potential of the project. More news to come. On the grade upside potential, this is a cross-section of some of the holes that we drilled in the shallower part. So what are we talking about when we say there's grade upside potential? It's an easy thing to say, sometimes it's a hard thing to actually deliver. Now, the reason we believe and sort of know there's grade upside potential is these parts of the deposit on the south and the north, they've never been assayed for anything other than copper and nickel. Now, in the central part of the deposit, there's been multi-element assay data, and we've seen substantial amounts of platinum, palladium, cobalt, gold that are in the rocks. The geology is very consistent across the project. It's just that data is missing out here. So we've been infilling some of that information to collect that multi-element assay data to allow us to include those minor metals into the resource and lift the total value of the project and the equivalent grade. So you can see that as a sort of a proof of concept. It was very expected, but it's also very nice to see that we've got fairly significant credits coming through from very nice wide intersections, and that data just didn't exist before. So we're able to, again, bring more metal into the project, make it bigger at the grade side as well as bigger at the ton side. And so when we look to update the resource, we're going to see, we've got a good potential to increase the metal content fairly substantially. From a development perspective, look, I'm an engineer. I've come from a project development background. I like to think of mining projects as future mines. Not all companies, I suppose, think necessarily like that, but these things are valuable because they can be mined. So I look at the world through that sort of lens, and we really have the important ingredients here for a developable project. We're in a great jurisdiction. The project starts at surface. It's got open pit starter potential. So that's, like I said at the start, that's a more favourable startup type scenario to be looking at. We've got good deposit geometry, so you can see the open pit captures the resource itself quite nicely, and then beyond that, it should be amenable to relatively productive underground mining methods like lung hole open stoping. So that keeps all your costs under control. We've got positive metallurgy. We've got the little bit of work, not enough work has been done on the metallurgy, to be honest. I think there's a lot of important work that we'll be doing in the second half of the year with the MET program. But the work that has done clearly shows the copper is very amenable to flotation. It really jumps out. The nickel has all the right stuff in terms of nickel in sulfides. We don't have a nickel in silicates problem, which some other projects do. They have the nickel that's sort of unrecoverable by flotation. We don't think we're going to see that here, but we need to work on the grade because that work was done quite poorly in the past. And so that's a big value unlock that we'll be doing in the second half of the year. And from an infrastructure perspective, we've got to pay. This is the highway that runs right past the project. It was built to develop the hydroelectric dams in the north that deliver that very cheap power. And so it's got good access and it's in a great location. Quebec has, as I said, 22 operating mines. It's got smelters, it has all the services. We get very competitive drilling rates because of its location in a very mature and sophisticated mining province. And that's really important actually to keep development costs at the exploration stage. Don't forget the government's also paying half the bill, so that also helps. But then also at a development and operating level, having access to those things nearby keeps all the costs under control. So at a valuation level, look, you've heard from there's lots of companies here that are very cheap, and that is true. And because the sector has been difficult, I think everyone would recognise that. And so you've got a peer group that's beaten up. There's great opportunity actually in buying in a peer group that's beaten up, but we have a valuation that is even more beaten up than the peer group, partly because we're new, partly because of the difficult market that we've been in at the time that we acquired the project. But the green bars here represent the size of our project. The red dots are a valuation per tonne of copper equivalent. And you can see that we're really trading at a fraction of an already beaten up peer group. And so the potential for us to show the potential of this asset, to bring it forward and join the peer group as a credible developer peer, on top of that peer group benefiting from a pretty constructive base metals market, copper market in particular, that we're quite likely to be moving into, if not already there. I think there's a lot more to run. You can really compound your returns through taking a position at a very attractive valuation today. So that's quickly Horden Lake. I'll touch on, I've only got a minute or so left, but I'll touch quickly on an exploration project. Pivotal consolidated a bunch of properties here in the south of Quebec, so just below Val-d'Or, Abitibi, very famous mining jurisdiction. We consolidated a number of properties and put together a really exciting exploration portfolio, some superstar grades. You'll have to come and talk to me. I can tell you a bit more about the projects, but some very high grades have been discovered there. I think the business model hadn't been quite cracked open, that those deposits themselves are quite small, but the opportunity that we're really looking to exploit is the where did that come from? If you can map the path of those very high grades that have been discovered and try and find real anomalies of scale, that's what we're looking for. We've done a survey. It's throwing off some extremely large anomalies. There's this opportunity and a bunch of other opportunities on the wider land package to explore at the right time. But mostly our focus in the short term is delivering that upside that we see at the Horden Lake project. So investment highlights, just key takeaway. We've got copper and battery. We've got the right metals for the world that we're living in today. The value is underpinned by a very large resource that's already been defined, and it's got clear potential to grow through exploration. We're just starting to deliver on that now. We're in a great location, and importantly, we have those near-term catalysts coming up. We've got news flow to come, so it's a really great time to be taking a look at Pivotal, and pop by the booth if you'd like to know a little bit more. Thank you.
Well done, Ivan. Thank you very, very much. So great start to our final session. Right, our next presenter up on stage. We're actually going to stay with the overseas theme, but we're travelling from one side of the world to the other. We're going to Europe, specifically to Spain. Infinity Lithium is joining us next up on stage. And overnight they were just awarded a very special project of strategic importance by the regional government that they are operating in over in Spain. So I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more about that. And it's thanks to the work of a really great team that they have driving the Infinity message forwards. This is Justin Samorski. I have not seen Justin present, so I'm looking forward to welcome you on the stage. And Justin, I'm going to let you go with that because I just think you need to come up here and focus on the message, and we will talk afterwards. Would you please make Justin very welcome, everyone?
Well, thanks, Chrissy. Thanks for the introduction. Thanks to Jackson, Charm, Andrew and the team at Vertical Events for the opportunity to come here. Beautiful Gold Coast to present to us. Too nice a day out there to be listening to me, but appreciate it all the same. Here to talk about the San Jose Lithium project in the Extremadura region of Spain. Extremadura is located around 2.5 hours south-southwest of Madrid, out towards the Portuguese border. So that's where we are. I'll just direct you towards our various disclaimers. The presentation will be available on the ASX and on our website shortly after this, so if you want to dive into any detail, I'll direct you towards there. Just a bit of corporate background. ASX listed company, the code for us is INF, roughly 460 million shares on issue, with a market cap closing on Monday around 25 million. We've got about 14 million Aussie in the bank, just over 6 million of that's currently in term deposit restricted use funds from a grant we received from the federal Spanish government at the end of last year of just under 19 million euros. I'll come back to that a little bit later. We've got a very experienced board of directors led by Ryan Parkin, our MD and CEO, and our technical team's led by Mr. John Starink, who's our Chief Technical Officer. John was involved in the early days of Greenbushes and has been involved in numerous lithium chemical conversion projects globally, so a lot of experience there. We've got an in-country team running our Spanish subsidiary, Extremadura New Energies, led by Mr. Ramon Jimenez. Ramon's, again, got a great deal of experience in major projects, bringing them to fruition through his time with Acciona Services and Cobra locally. So I'm just going to start with a short video. I don't know how your Spanish is, but there's subtitles, so don't stress it too much. But just off the back of some news we received today regarding a qualification that Chrissy just mentioned in the introduction from the Extremadura regional government, where they've awarded us what's known as Premier status, which is a qualification as a project of regional and general interest. So quite big news for us, but I'll play the video first. Always great from the horse's mouth.
Ha aprobado la declaración de dos proyectos empresariales de interés autonómico, los conocidos como Premia. Una calificación que se concede a proyectos extremeños que tengan un impacto significativo en el empleo y en el tejido productivo de nuestra comunidad autónoma. Esto le genera ciertos beneficios, como la gestión de manera prioritaria y urgente de los trámites autonómicos, o la concesión de forma directa de subvenciones relacionadas con el fomento del empleo. En esta ocasión se ha dado el visto bueno a la solicitud de Premia realizada por la empresa Castilla Mining para su proyecto integrado de minería y primera transformación industrial del recurso del litio de Valdeflores.
Just for a bit of context there, so Castilla Mining, which the councillor mentioned there, is the subsidiary which holds our wholly owned subsidiary of Infinity, which holds our exploration permit. So that was big news today. That was only announced today off the back of the qualification late yesterday from the regional government. Premier status basically is an acknowledgement that the project is of strategic importance to the region. which is the jurisdiction that obviously issues permitting. So this is quite pertinent as we move through our final stages of our permitting process. So the lithium market's been a little bit quiet of late, but I can assure that we haven't been at infinity. Some of the other major milestones we've reached, as I touched on, we've received a nearly €19 million grant at the end of last year from the federal government. So in conjunction with that Premier status today, just major endorsement at all levels of government within Spain. We've also been working through the final throes of our permitting strategy. So we lodged our exploitation concession or mining licence application in February. A few weeks ago, we received acknowledgement from the regional government that they considered the resource viable, which is the first stage, and has allowed us to just last week to lodge our major project documentation, being our rehabilitation plan, project exploitation plan, and our environmental impact assessment. So this Premier status will really work towards that in expediting, cutting those administrative timeframes effectively in half for us to hopefully for permitting by the start of next year. Just a few little snippets there at the bottom. Premier also really does complement what's going on in the local region. This is a region that's very focused on basically developing its own industry or an industrial renaissance, as you like. It's been really starved of any opportunity in recent years, and it's really pegging its future on developing its own lithium-ion battery value chain. So we've seen that recently with the signing of an MOU with a major Chinese cathode producer to build a plant in the region, and also with a tier one battery producer setting up with a gigafactory in the region as well. So what we've got here with San Jose, we've got a fully integrated lithium project, basically producing large volumes over a long period of time of battery-grade chemicals, utilising one of Europe's largest lithium resources. The project is an underground project that will feed a conversion facility on site, 1.3 kilometres away from the deposit, and we're using a process that we've designed in-house that's very sustainable, and I'll go into a little bit more detail on that later. So when I talk about large volumes, at the end of the day, we're looking to produce 33,000 tonnes a year of battery-grade lithium hydroxide. Now, there's a bit of debate in the market around carbonate and hydroxide, and a lot of the conversations that we're having, particularly in the European market with OEMs, battery producers, is that lithium hydroxide is the future for Europe, where they're looking at higher range quality, high nickel content cathodes. So that's where our strategy sits. 26-year lifetime for the project, so long life, and I'll come back to that again a little bit later when I start talking about some of the lease agreements that we've been making, lease arrangements we've been making with local landowners. As I said, we've got an in-house team that's worked on our conversion process. This is an innovative process that's really utilised industry-tested processes from the nickel industry at the front end, where we've seen high pressure leaching dominate the industry in Indonesia, and then using a traditional, what you typically see in spodumene conversion for a back end. As I said, it's a sustainable process that we've come up with. It's removed the need for any beneficiation, roasting and calcining, so it removes the need for natural gas at the front end, which is obviously very important in Europe at the moment as they, with their energy crisis that they have at the moment. We worked through a process with Minviro towards the end of last year, where they conducted a full life cycle assessment for us. So working through scope 1 to 3 emissions there, and it put us in the lower quartile for hard rock lithium processing. So a few numbers that have come out the back of an updated scoping study we released last year. So with 33,000 tonnes per annum, using what were pretty conservative numbers at the time for lithium pricing, we saw an NPV of just post-tax NPV of just under $3 billion US, and an IRR of just under 26%. So, like I said, we've seen this across a very long life of mine and life of project with 26 years. So we'll just walk you through the process at a high level. So as I said, we've got an underground mine that's going to be feeding an on-site lithium conversion facility. So underground mine, we'll do some no typical beneficiation that you'd see with normal lithium projects. We've got underground crushing that's then sent to surface for some further grinding and milling, and then that ore goes direct to a leach. So it goes direct to a high pressure leach at the front end of the process. Reagents that are used through that leach generate steam, which then is used to feed some of the mechanical equipment further down the line. So an efficient use there of those energies, and those will be optimised as well as we further our studies. As I said, the back end of it is a very traditional process back end that you would typically see in spodumene processing. So really de-risk the back end of that process there to produce that 33,000 tonnes per year. A lot of the byproducts that we'll be producing have uses in other markets, and the rest of the waste will be returned back underground as paste back infill. So this is a large homogeneous ore body. It's a low-grade mica, around sort of 0.6% lithium oxide, but it's very large, 111 million tonnes or 1.6 million tonnes LCE. It was all the holes remain open as well, and again, this is important when I'll talk about the lease agreements we've made for the land. This was originally an open pit project. But in consultation with the local community and local authorities, we pivoted the project to an underground mine at the back end of 2021 in order to basically clear a pathway through to for our permitting strategy. It was originally a tin mine in the 60s. They found lithium in the tailings. There wasn't obviously really anything to do with it at that stage. The regional government put the project out to tender some years ago, and we've earned into 75% of the project now with our local project partner, with a call option to move to 100% at any stage prior to FID. So again, just coming back to the process, what we've got is an innovative process that our technical advisory team has come up with, utilising high pressure leaching at a front end. Removes the need for natural gas, obviously a hot topic in Europe, no pun intended, but also being able to rely on energy cogeneration, so relying on the steam generated at the front end to power the back end of it. This project can basically rely completely on renewable energies, which has really worked in our favour locally. The recoveries that we've been able to achieve through our lock cycle test work program have been up over 90%. So, yeah, quite amazing recoveries there. So you can see here, just from the graphic, the sort of the site of the deposit in the yellow there, not far from the processing site. It's about 1.3 kilometres. The brown and orange highlights there are areas that we have already secured under lease arrangement with local landowners. So what we've done there is we've actually secured 35-year leases on those with a further 35-year option. So this is important when you consider that this resource remains open. So we don't really know the extent. Each drill hole still has lithium at the end of it. So there is potential there for this to go on beyond the 26 years that we've currently got it pegged to. Just working through some of the steps that we've had along our permitting strategy. The basis of this was the issue of an exploration permit at the beginning of last year, in March last year, and that set us up to work towards a direct exploitation concession, as it's known there, over in Extremadura. Shortly after that, we received an environmental impact assessment scoping document, and that's really set us up well for the lodgement of our environmental impact assessment last week. It's really expedited that process and allowed us to get that documentation in quite expeditiously. As I said, the land's been acquired, so we've got some control over that already, and the local government has actually issued us with what's known as a non-incompatibility report. It's a bit of a mouthful, sorry, which means that the project effectively complies with local land use regulations. So moving through the permit process, exploration permit's been granted. We've worked through the lodgement of the final exploitation concession application at the start of the year. We've had that confirmed by regional government just recently. And as I said, just last week, we've submitted the major project documentation as part of that process. Premier status is going to help expedite that, and we're aiming to be fully permitted by the start of next year. So Europe itself, I mean, this is a region that's really sort of built itself in a house of cards and without much of a foundation of that with regards to lithium chemicals. Loads of investment downstream in battery production, but is really got a little bit behind that ball in terms of its lithium sources. It's just implemented a Critical Raw Materials Act, which is going a long way there to try and get that back. And we're about to submit a project application to become a strategic project for Europe. So this just goes forward with some of that detail. Basically, to sum it up, we've got basically a lot of endorsement now from a local, regional and federal level, which is evident through Premier and our grant funding. And hopefully we'll receive notification of as a strategic project towards the end of the year. Just close with a timeline. Working through our permitting process now. More detailed engineering to come throughout the year. And then, as I said, hopefully a fully permitted project by the start of next year. So thanks for your time.
Good on you, Justin. Justin, how do you feel every time you come over the border up here to Queensland, mate? Are you okay?
Yeah, I feel okay.
You're
yeah,
all right?
I'm glad I'm here tonight and not next week with the State of Origin on. But
I was wondering about that. Justin used to live here in Surfers Paradise. His dad's from New South Wales. And do you have kids of your own?
I do. I've got 3 kids.
And do they
They're
all
all proud West Australians, though.
And they all go for the Blues, do they?
Absolutely, if they want a house, a roof over their head.
That's right. So Justin's dad actually used to drive him back across the border when they lived in Surfers Paradise to go to a New South Wales school, so he wasn't infected by the maroon.
That's a true story. So you've obviously
That's
been
so
speaking
funny.
to someone close. But
So you've got a much better taste in projects, so go and have a chat with him
Good on
about that afterwards. Justin, thank you so
Thanks,
much,
Tristan.
buddy. Thank you. All right, team, let's keep this momentum going. This is a nice, very interesting project, and if you've been reading the news in the last couple of days, you would have seen a lot about Australia's highest grade indium results, indium drilling results. So it's one of our most exciting silver indium discoveries. It's just been reported on, and the holes that were drilled are right here in northern Queensland. The company behind it is Iltani Resources. This is Donald Garner. He is their MD. What the heck is silver indium? Why do you need it? And why does the world need a whole lot more about it? He's going to explain. Please make Donald very welcome.
Can everyone hear me? Great, let's go. So this is what we are Iltani Resources. I'm the MD. We're currently exploring in Herberton. We're exploring the Orient project, which we believe is Australia's most exciting silver indium discovery. This was taken a couple of days ago up at site. This is a diamond drill rig. We got 300 grand funding from the Queensland government. We're drilling this deep hole to target the shallow mineralisation and deeper mineralisation. I'll explain more about that as we step through the presentation. So the usual disclaimer, cautionary statement, company overview. We listed on the ASX June 2023. We raised $5 million, listed at 20 cents. Today, our share price is 32 cents, which is great for our shareholders. The board, Anthony Riley is non-exec chairman. I'm the MD. Justin Machaka's Ned and COSEC. Technical team is myself, Eric Norm, who's the exploration manager, and Bruce Gemmell, who's our technical consultant. Project portfolio. We built this project portfolio through application and acquisition. The focus is on critical minerals and copper. We've got projects up in northern Queensland, the Orient Herberton project, which contains Orient. We've got the Northern Base Metal project as you step down through Queensland, Rookwood, Southern Gold, and we've got Mount Reed Volcanics project in Tasmania. But our focus today has been on solely, literally on the Herberton project. Herberton project, if you know this neck of the woods, we're about 100k, 150k in land from Cairns, 15k from Herberton, 40k from Atherton. We're in rolling bushland, cattle country. So we've got, We've got Orient, which is Orient, Deadman Creek, Isabel Extended, Antimony Ward and Boonmoo. To date, our focus has just been on Orient. Why Orient? Orient, we believe, is Australia's most exciting silver indium discovery. It's a massive system. Each one of these squares is 1 kilometre by 1 kilometre, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Five square kilometres of veining, alteration and mineralisation at the surface. We believe it's a tin porphyry system, similar to the tin porphyries in Bolivia. So we're currently drilling the shallow level indium, so the shallow level epithermal mineralisation Orient West. We've got multiple target areas: Orient West, Orient East, Deadman Creek, area up here, Orient North, and Orient Deeps. So Orient, we're targeting the shallow epithermal mineralisation at Orient. In June 2023, when we started drilling, we had some questions that we wanted to answer about Orient. Does Orient have ore-grade mineralisation? No point drilling mineralisation, we want ore-grade mineralisation. We want either to justify open pit or underground. If we've got ore-grade mineralisation, do we have the continuity of the mineralisation? Does it hang together? Can we mine it? Then the final question we wanted to answer, have we got enough room? Is there enough room in the system to deliver the tonnage we want? These are 3 key questions we wanted to answer. Plus, we wanted to understand where the high-grade silver and indium is in the system. So Orient West, we drilled the bunch of holes down here in June and December 2023. The yellow holes we've drilled last month. We've just released the assay results of these 3 holes. So we step type 550 metres along strike with these 3 holes. There's another 600 metres of strike up here. We're waiting for the assay. These 4 holes here, these 3 holes here, these are in ALS at Townsville currently being assayed. So we're waiting for the assay results of this group of holes. We hope that the results from this group of holes will be positive. We think they will, and these. So we're stepping back down into the core of Orient West, and as we get down to this area, this is where the really high indium that was mentioned we found. So we got 170 grams indium over 1 metre down here, which is the highest grade indium ever announced on the ASX. Big system, good grades. Once we've released this, and we've got the results back, we'll give this data to Mining One, who are a competent person. Mining One will use this data to estimate an exploration target for Orient. Then we'll release that to the market. By releasing an exploration target to the market, we're starting to put the project on a pathway where investors can see where we're going. So what will the exploration targets be? How big will it be? What grade will it be? We'll have to wait and see. But once we get that into the market, it gives us a benchmark, and investors a benchmark, so they can look at us. We've got $13 million market cap. They can look at our peer group, who've got significantly higher market caps, and say, if you continue to drill this, will you be equivalent to this company, or will you be equivalent to that company? And that is a pathway to create value for our shareholders. So this is what we're seeing at Orient West. This is Orient 26, one of the holes we recently drilled and announced to the market. So 70 metre, well 69 metre, we'll call it 70 metre package of veins here. Another vein system up here. But it's also interesting to note is the entire hole is mineralised from top to bottom. Look at this, outcropping on a ridge line, you just think, yeah, perfect for an open pit. We believe there's more mineralisation at depth down here. We couldn't drill any deeper because we were limited by the amount of rods in the RC rig. So when we come back and do the next round of drilling, we're likely to punch a hole in up here, which will test this area down here. Open down dip, open along strike. Great result for us, great result for our shareholders. Orient East, more of the same. This is a really nice bulk tonnage target. Stop working vein system in the middle. You can see great grades for an open pit. These are all pretty shallow, but if you chase mineralisation of this grade, that can take you underground as well. So, when looking at the Orient system as a bigger system, this is from geophysical reprocessing that we've done. This is drone mag. So you've got Orient West tracking up here, Orient East coming around here, Deadman Creek up here. At the start of the drilling program we've just finished, we punched a hole in here, Orient 25, to test this anomaly down here. This anomaly is 650 metres south of known mineralisation at Orient West. The area through here is under recent cover, so no one's drilled there before. We put the drill hole in, we hit mineralization in this hole. Yep, we're not going to mine this mineralization, but it shows the system's active. It shows it's down here. So we've got all this area in here as well. We'll infill this area with 2 IP lines to see what's here, but we're confident we'll get more grade out of this area. So this is where the exciting bit is. Orient, we're targeting the deeper part of the system. This was taken 2 days ago. When I spoke to the guys on site, as at yesterday morning, we were 257 meters down the hole. Today, we're 290 meters down the hole. This hole is graciously funded by the Queensland Government as part of their collaborative exploration initiative. So we got $300,000 to drill this hole. So what's this hole going to tell us? So this black line is a trace of the hole. So we are about here at the moment, and we're aiming to go down here. So the hole is planned to be 800 meters long. This is the shallow mineralization at Orient West. The red is the modeled mineralization. So we're testing the down dip extension of this mineralization. Is it still there? What's it like at depth? As we get deeper, are we getting close to the source of the mineralization? Is the mineralogy changing? Are we seeing copper come into the system? Are we seeing tin come into the system? Will we see veining down here? But more importantly, is this the intrusion at depth? Under Orient is a big, big system. As I said before, 5 kilometers squared, alteration, mineralization, metal has moved through this system. Where's all this? Where has all this come from? It must have come from somewhere, and we believe there's a porphyry that sits under the entire system. And our geophysicist believes that this mag anomaly could be representative of that porphyry. So this is a free kick for our shareholders. It's an option for our shareholders. This drill hole is currently not represented in our share price. We've got a market cap of $13 million. If this drill hole hits, well, it will be good for our shareholders. As a board, we're going up there next Sunday. By Sunday, hopefully, we'll be down here. So we'll be able to look at the core, go out to site, look at the drilling, and get a better understanding of what this is. If we are, as we hope we are, dealing with the epithermal mineralization up here, with a deeper source of the mineralization down here, we think it could be a game changer for us and for our shareholders. So, to summarize the Orient system, as I said at the start, do we have the grade? Do we have the continuity? Do we have the volume to make a significant discovery, to deliver a significant deposit for our shareholders? We believe so far with the drilling we've done, we've shown we've got the grade for both open pit and underground. We've shown we've got the continuity. As I said, 2K along here, maybe 1.5 K along here. We've got the cross-cutting veins here. Dead Man Creek up here is a big stockwork system. We've just finished mapping and sampling up there. So they're off to the assay lab as well, so we'll get results back from that. So what does this all mean? What does it hang together to be? I've got a good idea, or we believe we have a good idea of what it could be, but we can't put that out to the market. What we can put out to the market is, to start, is the exploration target for Orient West, which Mining One will generate for us. So hopefully we'll be getting that out to the market in July-ish. So that will give the market a good idea of what the Orient system is. Plus, we'll have the results from that deep hole. The deep hole is collared over here, drilling under Orient West, targeting the porphyry that we believe sits under the whole system. So lots of exciting news still to come. So, indium, as you asked, we are building a material exposure at Orient to silver and indium. Indium, nobody's heard of it, everybody uses it. Main use of indium is indium tin oxide. It's an optically transparent conductive material. It sits behind the screen of your mobile phone. So when you touch your mobile phone, that's what registers your fingers touch on the screen of the mobile phone. So anything with a touch screen uses indium. It's currently $350 a kilo. Global production 1,000 tons. Indium is in the sphalerite, which is zinc sulfide, recovers to the zinc concentrate, basically 1-on-1. The zinc con then goes to a zinc smelter where they can recover the indium, and as a mining company you get paid for the indium. But for our shareholders, indium is a critical mineral. It's on the list for the Queensland government, it's on the list for the federal government. So as we advance the project forward, this opens up all these other non-dilutive pathways for shareholder funding, which is good for our shareholders. So summary, Iltani, experienced board, experienced technical team. We've built an attractive portfolio of projects, focused on silver, indium, copper, zinc and tin, and we believe we're well positioned to deliver material shareholder value. Orient project, we think is Australia's most exciting silver indium project. Drilling results to come from the RC. They're pending, they're in the lab. We're drilling this deep diamond hole. That could be a game changer. So we're actively exploring. But at the end of the day, everyone will stand up here and tell you why their company is the best. Everyone will say, invest in our company. But, how do you know which one to invest? I'm the same as you guys. I go to these conferences, I look at these presentations, and I invest. So I'm looking for the next company that's going to deliver. The last company I invested in was Azure Lithium, and they had a great run for their shareholders in WA. I made some good money from that, so I was pleased with that. But for us, I genuinely believe we've got the potential to deliver the discovery the market is looking for, the discovery the market wants. So, for our shareholders, I think it's a really, really good time. Like I said, we're 32 cents, IPO'd at 20 cents. So that's good for the shareholders who came in at IPO. But we want to deliver more to that for our shareholders. We want the market to recognise the value that's in Orient and to drive our share price higher to deliver the returns our shareholders want. And the only way we're going to do that is through news flow, it's for drilling and getting out the exploration target and delivering a pathway where the market can see value creation for our project. So, thank you.
Thank you.
And I just want to say, if there's any Iltani shareholders here today, thank you for supporting us on our journey so far, and we hope you're pleased with what we've achieved.
Well done, buddy. Thank you very much. You have to put those things back there. It's good, isn't it? Not just getting investment opportunities, we're learning lots of new and interesting things as well. All right, everyone, take a little stretch, please, because I heard some people maybe, just struggling with some oxygen in the room, and I was one of them. I know that. And this thing is when your brain starts to get a little bit overloaded a little bit later on in the day, but we've saved two of our best for last. And this is one of the fellows, Mr. Happy himself, Jonathan Trewuffa. Now, what's Jonathan's claim to fame? Well, 7 months ago, the company that he became part of had a little graphite resource, half the size of what it is today. They also had this high-grade magnetite ore reserve worth 1.2 billion tonnes. Weren't doing much with it. They also had a healthy little uranium thing on the side. Weren't doing much with that at all. So what has changed is just this man that has changed. The company that you've got in front of you listed on the program is Lincoln Minerals. We're going to find more about it. This man is a little bit jet-lagged. He's just got back from Europe, where he's part of a very important delegation, but he's really eager to come here and share the story with you today. So please make him very welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. That was very kind. So just on the EU delegation, critical minerals that I just came back from, the great news is for Australia is that both France, Germany and the EU have recognised that they're way behind, and all their minerals are still linked with China, and they want to actively break that cycle, and they're putting money in, and Australian companies can access that. So it's going to be an exciting, combined with the Australian one, which we'll talk about, this is an exciting time for Australia on critical minerals. So just getting to Lincoln, so we are a development company focused on graphite, uranium and magnetite on the Eyre Peninsula, all transitional minerals. So we've turned the company around in 7 months. Bit of history, 5 years ago, company was about to hit the button on graphite. Its graphite project, price is going down, it stalled, the company stalled. A year ago, new investors, new board came in, and that was the basis. Had 2 takeover attempts showing how good the asset is. and then I came in at 7 months. So what have we achieved in 7 months? Well, with the graphite, we've doubled the resource, we've shown the scalability. A key one is we've increased our high-grade core, which is one of our competitive advantages, which I'll talk about. And we're now updating the feasibility in 2017 to double that. While I was doing the deep dive, I came across a slide that had uranium in it. And I wasn't aware, but in 2007, Lincoln IPO'd on an iron ore uranium play, and it spent 2007 to 2011 exploring on Eyre Peninsula. Now, all we've done is take that work and we're re-looking at it and redoing it, and it's quite exciting. Also, with the magnetite, someone said, oh, you've got to look at this magnetite. So I looked at it and we picked up Centrex's old assets, which the Chinese had spent between 70 to 100 million before the iron ore crashed, and we'd inherited that. So it's an exciting time, it's good grade. So as a company of our size, you can't do everything. So we are committed to the graphite, which I'll explain why later. We're just looking at shareholder value for the uranium. We're just plucking the low-hanging fruit, and then we will do something with the uranium. And with the magnetite, we're going straight out to a partner, because it's 600 to 1.6 billion capital required. That's not for a small company. So that's what we're doing there. We haven't had the kick that we expected on the valuation yet. In my view, we're way undervalued. If you look at, we've got Renascor, which is a graphite project that you might have heard about. They're probably 12 to 18 months ahead of us, but we're catching up. They're worth over 260 million. You've got Yuli Quantum Graphite, 30 Ks down. They're 160 million, and we're actually ahead of them, and we've got a bigger deposit. So we've got that lag from that wilderness period, but we're catching up. And that doesn't even include our magnetite and our uranium valuation. So we've just raised 2.5 million, which we're going to execute, and I'll explain how we're going to execute. I'd like to point out my board. It is awesome. I've got Julian Babasi, ex-Regal fund portfolio manager. He's great on investment. I've got Ryan Smith, who's in the audience. He's ex-minister for environment, so great in terms of community and government relations. And John Lamb is ex-CEO of HSBC West Coast America, also great with investment. And I've developed several projects. I've developed several projects in highly sensitive community environments. This isn't one of them, but I know how important it is to get the stakeholders engaged early, and that's what we're doing. As discussed, there's a lot of money out there for critical minerals. Everyone wants to get off the supply chain. We will be actively pursuing that avenue, which is non-dilutionary for our shareholders. So we've got the right rocks. We've got 66% of all graphite for Australia is in our area, along that Hutchinson group that you see. Over 20% of uranium for the globe is in South Australia. We're effectively the Saudi Arabia of uranium. And we've also got the magnetite. We've got nearly 45% of Australia's magnetite. We've also got the right jurisdiction and the right infrastructure. When people are looking to partner for overseas, South Australia is a safe place. If you're Korea, EU, America, we're a good place to invest. When in terms of infrastructure, a lot of people talk about being near infrastructure. We're actually surrounded by it. In fact, we've got high voltage power lines going over our tenements. And the great thing, since previously these projects stalled, there's been a massive upgrade 2015-17 for the infrastructure. So 3 new ports have been opened to us that were previously closed. There's two new ports approved but not built yet. There's water. There's a new RO plant being currently built, and there's another one planned. There's also with the power. There's also Holler Renewables. So we're really in a top spot for infrastructure. So we're a developer of graphite, explorer for uranium, and we're partnering our magnetite. Now, why have we chosen graphite? Graphite is a growth product. 50% of every battery has got graphite in it. 99% of that refined product comes from China. We've got a potential tier 1 asset. It's at surface with a high grade. We've got a mining lease on it, and we've also got potential to pick up other tier 1 assets in the area. In the last 3 years, I've seen graphite going from a critical mineral to a strategic mineral with a supply chain. So we believe that there is going to be a split between China and the Western world on the price. So we believe it's a great space to be in. As discussed, tier 1 location, and we've also got, we're the second largest, and we've got scale. Now, this is our competitive advantage over a lot of the other projects, is we've got 20% on surface, and most of the other projects are averaging 6 to 8. So our first bucket load is going to be 20%. High grade means that we can early cash flow, quick payback period, and think of a small high grade gold project. I love the fact that it's a stalled project. We dropped in just at 2018. They sent 39 tonnes to China. It proved that we've got at scale the right battery concentrate, and also the size. Also, material was sent to Canada to be refined. It also demonstrated that we can actually go further down the battery stage. 75% of all the project is completed. We only got one little bit more for the lease. We've done enough test work now to be able to shortly finish off, and we'll be able to do a downstream battery process. As I said, we've got 18 months to dig ready. So with our uranium, so we've got drill holes in 2 of our areas. Cut-off grade for a mine is about 250 parts per million. So we've got 2 areas. One's 570, which is very promising, and the other one's 350. Early stages, but we've got, but that's looking good. This is the first area we've reviewed. It's near Alligator Energy, which I believe is going to be the potential next uranium mine in Australia. So it's Paleo Channel. We're upstream from that. The great thing is that there's all this data that has been accumulated from the iron ore and copper exploration. We're just taking that data and consolidating it, and you can see that the blue is a low gravity and red is a high grade for our drilling. It shows that it fits really neatly. So we're going to be drilling that September, October. I'm looking forward to it because as you can see, these drill holes were composited over 4 metres or 5 metres, a lot of them. So when we actually composite to 1 metre, we're going to get a better grade result. Or we should expect it to get a better grade result. So with our green iron, in Europe, they were very excited about this because a lot of their smelters are now getting old. So they're in that situation. Do we refurbish or do we actually build smelters for magnetite, which has got a lower carbon footprint? So there was a great interest in that. We've got a good grade. So 26% is a great grade. It can refine up to about 67%. It's got a little bit of high silica, but we've got a very coarse grind at 75 microns. So I've been told that we can grind it down and get it around to the 2 to 3%, which the new smelters like. So this project is huge. And what is green iron? So effectively hematite, like in the Pilbara, is oxide. It requires carbon to actually reduce it. In terms of steel making produces 8% to 10% of the world's carbon footprint. Magnetite is significantly less than that, so that's why the desire to swap to magnetite, because magnetite doesn't need coking coal. So that's the exciting part for the green iron and why it's being sought in a premium. So we've got 3 potential company makers. One is graphite, one is uranium, and one is magnetite. We're focused on the graphite. We're going to use the magnetite and the uranium to add value for our shareholders, and I'm looking forward to developing. And I hope that some of you will come along for the journey as well. And we'll be in the booth, and I look forward to talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. T. You must leave all that information just there and run back to your booth and get ready for the masses as we come out.